my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're live with Expresso, just in time for my favorite segment of the week, where we show, I think, an opportunity for everyone out there to do more for this incredible world that we live in. Wildlife crimes, sadly, are probably not something that we often consider, certainly not every day, but it is something that is seriously affecting our country at the moment. And the Western Cape is a very popular target of these illegal activities. Cape Nature is a public institution that seeks to combat these crimes and conserve and sustain the natural beauty the Western Cape has to offer, one of our greatest resources, I think. Now, joining us in studio this morning is Paul Gildenhuys, the Program Manager for Biodiversity at the Cape Crime Unit at Cape Nature. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Quite a title. I would imagine your job is far more complicated. If I had to ask you to just dumb it down for us, when we talk about biodiversity crime, what does that mean exactly in the context of wildlife crime?
It is crimes where people target animals and plants. And when I talk about animals, we're talking about illegal hunting, illegal collection, illegal trade, and the same with regard to plants, illegal picking and trade and collecting and picking.
I think sadly there is a view that these crimes aren't as serious as crimes being perpetrated against humans, or, you know, and we do obviously in South Africa deal with a very high crime rate. We don't consider that that same crime rate is spilling over into our natural areas. Why is the Western Cape so badly hit? What is the environment like here in the Western Cape?
Well, the Western Cape's got a unique environment with the Cape Floristic Kingdom, and you find unique plants and unique animals here that you only find in this province, and that's why they target it. And unfortunately, they fetch high prices in overseas markets, which a lot of these things go to.
So just how bad is the situation here? Paint a picture for us now that we have the opportunity to hopefully get this to sink in and people to realize just how dangerous this is. How bad is the situation? Are we in danger of losing species? What kind of paint a picture as dark as it can be?
Well, you get different groups that target different types of animals or plants. And it depends on the species that they target, you know, and whether it's endangered, protected, or so-called unprotected. And in the Western Cape, they target a lot of our reptile species, which is unique, our lizard species, geckos, and then with the plant side, it is the succulent plants, and obviously some of the Proteus species, the cut flowers.
How do we go about addressing this then? Does it rest on the public needing to know more about where they're getting these things from? Because ultimately, if these crimes are being perpetrated, it means there's a customer somewhere at the end of that line who's going to be buying, who's going to be hunting, who is going to be allowing that system to continue. How do we address this? Where do we start?
Well, we can't do it on our own. We need to rely on our partners in other law enforcement agencies, like the police, SARS, Customs, and obviously the public can play a major role by reporting any suspicious activity to either the police or the nearest Western Cape Nature Conservation Office. And we've been pretty successful, and we've actually caught quite a few perpetrators by public reporting suspicious behavior. And obviously we use the media and the press and newspapers a lot. When people are caught, we publish it and we publish the outcome. And that, I can surely tell you that it has got a huge influence. And obviously if the fines that the court, or the penalties that the court meted out, is big, we've had quite a few cases now where the guys were sent to jail for 10 years straight without an option of a fine.
Wow.
That really has an influence. And we can see that because immediately after that, that type of fine ceased to exist. Well, not ceased to exist, but it goes down.
It's a massive hit. Well done to the public out there taking part. We'd love you guys to pose any questions or maybe make any comments. If you've got any eco-wildlife related questions this morning that you'd like to pose to Paul, or something you want to put out there, 021 430 9881, or you can just drop us a comment on Facebook or Twitter.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, well done, man. Well, we are talking now, again, taking you into the wild to talk about something that is so important, I'm realizing more and more, for the public to understand and really take on board: wildlife crime, biodiversity crime. And you have it in your mind that rhino horn kind of is the pinnacle of that, but there are so many layers beneath that. Every species, literally, that is particular to the Western Cape is at risk. And we've now got Marie joining us on the line. Marie, a very good morning.
Goedemorgen.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing great yourself.
I'm very good. A little bit shocked chatting to Paul from Cape Nature. What is your opinion, or do you have a question?
Yes, I've actually got a question. We in the Boland area,
Yeah.
and you know, when you drive past this beautiful place of ours, I currently drive often through to the Bosch area, Klapmuts, and you see quite a lot of people selling wildflowers that's not allowed to be picked next to the road, like the lilies, and Afrikaans they say varkoor lilies,
Yeah.
and then the flowers. And you see them every day, basically. What steps do they take to stop this?
To prevent this, well, what do we need to do? Marie, thank you so much. I think a lot of us are shaking our heads in studio. We've all seen it, and you just kind of assume that it's fine. It's not really a serious crime, but it is. These are natural resources for the country. How do we prevent this? What are you guys doing to curb that side of this story, and how can we as public help?
Well, the public can report it. I personally know about it. I've seen it. We have confronted them. We have spoken to them, and some of them have received fines. But what you'll find is you'll catch character A today, he'll get a fine, and he's gone, and then tomorrow somebody takes his place because they steal the stuff in the veld and they sell it, and it's a way of income for them. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying that's what they do, and that's how they survive.
It kind of sits as a knock-on effect of our socio-economic situation. Like so many crimes in this country, there is always a root cause. In that case, then, what do we do? Who do we complain? Because I would imagine you can't really go and arrest someone for selling wildflowers, but you need to deter it. So how do you guys approach this? What can you do?
Well, we plan operations where we target specific groups, and for instance, we can target the Ermeli guys, and we have in the past as well, where we go out on what we call a blitz, and we actually go to all the spots where there is, and we target them specifically. And prosecute where necessary, or just educate and say, well, if you want to do this, there is a way to do it legal. You know, we don't mind people doing these things, but just do it the right way. Then we will aid you and assist you in you know, to do things the right way. And the way that what we can ask the public is, if you buy flowers from somebody, make sure that he gives you an invoice for that flowers, because that will ensure in the majority of cases that they're actually selling the stuff legally. That's when you don't get the invoice and he's standing next to the street, and then you actually aid them in their
it's very easy for us to point a finger at the authorities and say Cape Nature should be doing more, but ultimately, if you're a customer buying these flowers, you're the one supporting that organisation. Thank you so much. Very interesting question, Marie. You can give us a shout, 021-430-9881. We're going to continue to keep those lines open. We've got another 2 sessions with Paul here. He is a wealth of information, so keep those questions coming.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we go back into the wild, loving having Paul Gildenaes here, who works for Cape Nature. Obviously, you can see the logo there, for the Biodiversity Crime Unit, responsible for covering a huge amount of ground here in the Western Cape with very precious and unique resources. And you've mentioned, obviously, responsibly, a lot of these resources are renewable if they are sold and that kind of the rule of law is maintained. But there are so many species that are being depleted, especially on the animal front as well. What animals are most at risk here in the Western Cape?
Well, you get 2 types of perpetrators. You get your international perpetrators, and you get what I call the local or domestic people. If we get to our international perpetrators, you can basically, they are the people that come here to collect a huge amount of these animals, and they sell them for financial gain. Biodiversity crime is all about financial gain.
Money,
and a lot of people don't know that, but pound for pound, if you've got the right species, they're worth more than their weight in drugs. And that's why people do it. And in general, you know, when a drug smuggler is caught, people think it's a bad person. When somebody is caught with 20 lizards, people don't think the same about that person. But they target our reptile species, especially snake species, lizards as well. And then, you know, the overseas people, you can basically divide them into 3 categories. You get your scientists or quasi-scientists, hobbyists, if you want to call them that. They know these species very well. They know exactly where to find them. They know what time of the year to find them.
Google and what they don't know,
and they plan their trips accordingly. And they come here at the right time, and they can, for the least amount of time spent, collect a huge amount of animals, which they then take out. You get your so-called professional traders coming in, and they know a lot about these species as well. And they collect simply to sell. And they like vacuum cleaners. They collect anything they can find, whether it's small or big, because it's all about the money.
Effect,
And then your last category is obviously your syndicates. And it sounds funny, but you know, you get syndicates in tortoises, syndicates in specializing in snakes, just like anything else.
If it's on the black market, there's a criminal underworld.
And if you simply can go to the internet and you'll find all these things for sale, all the South African species. Yeah.
It's
And then
crazy.
the domestic people are more people picking flowers to sell, like we've already been saying. And another problem that we've got is the illegal hunting of antelope species.
And in every part of this process, there's something that we as the public can do. So thank you so much for the work that you are doing, you and your team. And all the best of luck for 2018. I think it's going to be a big year for South Africa. Just very quickly, how can we reach you guys to report crimes like this? Or do we go directly to the police? What's the most effective way for us to respond?
Well, you can contact your nearest Cape Nature Conservation office in your area, because they're probably the closest. And if you can't get hold of him, contact the police, because the police will normally know the conservator in that area. And as I said, we do things together. We have to register the cases with the police. We investigate the things together, and it's a combined effort. We can't do things on our own anymore.
Yeah, I love that. And we have a role to play as the public. Thank you so much to everyone who is doing that hard work on the ground level. Thank you so much. And again, all the best to your team for the new year.
Thank you very much.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
As Paul reminisces about sending his kids to school, and I get really nervous about taking that. Paul, we're going to keep you around just for 2 more minutes so we can give another quick recap. I think something that rings through my mind at the moment is, how do we identify dodgy behavior? What are some of the signs we should be looking out for? Because I'm kind of feeling like now I've probably driven past wildlife criminals almost every day without even taking cognizance of that fact. What do we look out for as the public? What are those signs we should be looking out for?
Yeah, especially in the rural country, if you find there's a car standing next to the road and there's people walking in the veld, especially in areas where some of these scarce things appear, they report it, we can check them out.
Just be
Because
safe,
normally
yeah.
what they do is they would stop, they would climb over the fence, walk in the area, collect whatever they want to collect and come out. And I call this faceless crimes, because it's not like somebody breaking into your house and stealing your hi-fi and you get it home and it's gone. With these type of crimes, they steal the stuff, they get in the car, they're gone. Nobody would know about it if they're not caught.
So you've got to maintain, and obviously the flower selling thing is something that I think we now know you can identify. Just again, very quickly, how can we educate ourselves and how can we connect with you guys if we have to? What's a great place to get an idea of what's going on in the Western Cape especially?
Okay, Cape Nature does environmental education. Myself, I've also involved in giving talks and presentations to interested and affected groups regarding biodiversity crime and what people do and what they don't, what to look out for. And obviously you can visit Cape Nature's website where you'll also find a lot of information. I think that's...
Yeah, speak to Cape Conservation, any of the bodies, or the police. It seems like it really is a collective effort. So thank you so much again for that. And again, all the best for the new year. I think all of us need to take on board that this conservation is ours. We own it. We need to be custodians. We need to protect it. That crime happening in that arena is just as serious as any other.